Hello, I am Xarkun, and I have a question for you. How long have you been playing World of Warships Legends? Do you remember the days before the spawns on this map, Haven, were changed to what they are now? If so, you might recall that this map used to result in an awful lot of lemming trains, and we're going to experience a bit of deja vu today because my team is going to form a textbook lemming train in this game. They are all going to sail over to the Bravo side of the map, while I sail over to Charlie, ostensibly alone, to face whatever red ships the enemy happens to sail in this general direction. I'm playing the Tier 7 Premium French cruiser Bayard, which I think is the second Tier 7 Premium to be available for direct sale in the store. You can buy it for 17,500 doubloons, which, if I'm not completely incorrect, is at least the price of a modern-day AAA game, if not more. So what do you get if you choose to spend all of that money on this single naval unit? Well, I did make a video on the Bayard, but it was only a first impressions video last week, and I've since played the ship quite a bit more than the single time I played it in that video. So I have some more thoughts on this thing. And the reason I wanted to show you this game is because, well, I'm completely alone on the flank. If you take a look at the minimap right now, you'll see that one of those battleships looks like he might have clearance to shoot whatever's near this Charlie cap here, that being, I think, only the Belfast 43 and the enemy Colorado at the moment, but nobody else does. I'm essentially alone on this flank. We're going to shoot our guns at whatever we spot, and we're going to try to do as much damage as possible. And that is the function of the Bayard, essentially. It's got 12 152mm guns. And what I didn't know when I first played this ship was that these guns get improved penetration on their high explosive. Instead of penetrating the normal 25 or 26mm, sorry, I can't remember what it is, that 152mm high explosive shells normally would, the Bayard's high explosive shells penetrate 30mm of armor, which means they're going to be perfectly capable of dealing a whole lot of damage to Tier 6 battleships like the enemy Colorado we see out there, and they'll also have no problem penetrating the armor of most cruisers, including the Belfast 43, which we are also going to have to face. That extra penetration means the high explosive shells are, relative to other cruisers at this tier with similar gun sizes, more effective in dealing damage, and they don't really require the equilibrium of power skill in order to deal damage. Add on top of that they have a very good fire chance, and they also shoot French armor piercing, which has fantastic penetration. The Bayard also has torpedoes, 3 of them on either side of the ship with a 9-kilometer range, a very, very fast speed, the engine boost consumable, the reload booster consumable, and the sonar. This thing can pump out a lot of damage. It can do it quickly, and it can do it while sailing at high speeds and dodging incoming return fire, which is something you'll absolutely have to do in this ship, because in order to compensate for the fact it has as much firepower as it does, the Bayard does not come with a repair party consumable. So every single hit point you lose throughout the course of the game is a hit point you're not going to get back until you return to port and load into the next game. It's a bit more high risk than other cruisers. There's not as much room for error. But you're able to keep yourself safe from errors that are too terrible, I suppose, just by making use of the incredible speed and maneuverability. Anyway, I want to talk about lemming training a little bit as this Colorado comes into view. He does take a massive salvo from one of our battleship teammates there, but my team's positioning leaves a little bit to be desired in this game. There's a good reason you don't want to take every single ship in your fleet or on your team and move it to one side of the map. Imagine for a moment that I wasn't here and that more than just the Colorado or the Belfast 43 for the Reds were on this Charlie flank. Well, they'd be able to push straight through this cap, sort of make a southern line down the map, and ideally, they'd be able to get around my team, all clustered here south of the Bravo cap, and form up a crossfire. That would essentially be putting red ships on the part of the map that I currently occupy. If they were able to do that, they'd get the broadsides of all the battleships sitting there pointing their bows toward Bravo, and that would not be good. That is why you don't want to put all of your ships on one map. Now, not one map, one place on the map. Now, thankfully, that is not going to happen in this game, and that could be partially due to the fact that I am here. Of course, I'm alone. I have no backup. If the enemy wanted to make a concerted push, they could certainly get right through me. The Bayard doesn't really have any armor to speak of. It's coated in 25mm plating pretty much everywhere, except for the Citadel belt armor. So battleship shells really, really hurt when they hit, and in the grand scheme of things, you don't necessarily have a lot of hit points with only 34,700. Nevertheless, the firepower you can deal with these guns is certainly formidable. We've done 32,000 damage thus far, and now that we're about, 6 minutes into the game, things have developed. The enemy team and the blue team have both positioned. We know the majority of the red forces are concentrated between Alpha and Bravo over there to the west, and only really the Belfast 43 is here. We'll take some pot shots at the Vanguard as we pass. We get spotted by something. I think the Massachusetts over there. But we're headed to find this Belfast and put up a contest between ourselves and this Tier 7 British premium cruiser, which at the time of its release was somewhat underwhelming, but it has of course since been buffed, and here we'll get to see a good example of the Bayard versus one of its peers. Belfast 43 is around the island. He sees us because he's got us caught in his sonar, so he knows we're coming. We're potentially going to launch some torpedoes in his direction, but we come around the island and he's flat broadside, which is great for us because we can switch to the armor piercing and use the Bayard's main battery reload booster in order to inflict more damage on this Belfast 43. Unfortunately, we end up missing his Citadel, and the Belfast 43 does have those British smoke screens. I guess I spoke too soon. We did manage to tag his Citadel there with one salvo, but he's now concealed within a smoke screen, and he's using what I think is a rather overpowered combination of consumables, the smoke screen to conceal himself from my sight, and the radar consumable to reveal my location to him. This is going to allow him to shoot me with near impunity, but my torpedoes are making his way toward his position. I was trying to see if I could maybe take a blind shot, but it is not to be. And that is when Belfast exits the smokescreen. He's done a lot of damage for free to us with his high explosive, and taken us down probably a little bit below half health. Still counting as well. He took out our steering gears there. That seems to be a problem that afflicts most French cruisers, this one included, but we are increasing the distance between ourselves, and we're still firing the AP at his broadside, which now he's starting to angle, and that necessitates switching back to the HE. But our HE will be able to penetrate his armor scheme pretty much everywhere, and now it's just a contest of sort of maneuverability and DPM to see who comes out on top. The Belfast has certainly landed a lot more shells on us, I think, than we have on him, but as you can see, we're reversing, kicking it forward, trying to juke and throw off his shots, which is easy to do, thanks to the Bayard's nice acceleration, influenced by the still running engine boost consumable, which we've got another 30 seconds on. We take the Belfast down to almost no health, and then we go for a blind shot just as he disappears in his smoke screen. The blind shot misses, but the Belfast 43, as far as we know, is a one-shot kill. And much like the Bayard, I don't think the Belfast 43 has access to the repair party if it chooses to go with the smoke screen. So we probably don't have much to worry about from the Bayard anymore. We've sort of gotten out of position, though. We've retreated to the very, very eastern flank of the map where almost no ships whatsoever are. So we want to get closer to the objectives, and ideally, we might even be able to take this Bravo cap, or rather the Charlie cap. Note, though, that the enemy team is ahead on points. They had parked a battleship in Bravo. That battleship has since been dispatched, but they do have almost a 200 points lead on us now, so it is sort of important that we start getting stuff done. We're firing at the Vanguard there. You can see that the 30mm penetration, while it's better than 25 or 26, is not enough to penetrate the armor schemes of Tier 7 or Tier 8 battleships everywhere. It'll certainly pen their superstructure, and the high explosive shells will light a lot of fires, but you'll have to get used to seeing some shatters every now and then, or really pretty often, depending on what battleship you're shooting at. There's that pesky Belfast 43, our great nemesis in this game, our worthy opponent, and are we able to take him out? Yes. He goes down as our first kill of the game. GG Belfast 43, but there you have it, folks. Scientific proof that the Bayard is superior to the Belfast 43. At the time I was playing this game, it didn't necessarily feel like that. But with the Belfast gone, and now the Vanguard sunk, we should be able to move into this Charlie cap unopposed and hopefully take it. Yet another reason you don't want to put all of your ships on the same side of the map, and much like my team, let's be real, the Reds have basically positioned their entire fleet in the exact same place as the blue team, so both teams here have a little bit of suspect positioning. And normally, when you find games like this, it doesn't always work out if you're the lone ship on a flank. But the Bayard, with its speed, maneuverability, and rapid firepower, can deal a lot of damage, and it can also reposition very, very quickly if things get too hot. Here we are now, though, entering the Charlie cap as the Helena opens fire on us. Tier 6, American Tech Tree Light Cruiser. It's got a lot of firepower. It's actually a pretty good ship. Reload's not quite as quick as the Bayards, but, well, it's not that great of a ship if you choose to give another light cruiser broadside. Helena did that momentarily, so we used our reload booster on him. He's trying to correct his error by angling, but it's not quite enough angling. These are, after all, French armor-piercing shells. One of our teammates takes out the Helena, but we certainly did a lot of work to get him to the point where he could sink from a single salvo from one of my teammates there. Bismarck, though, is spotted over the island, shooting back at us in return, takes us down to 1900 hit points, and we have no repair party to gather more, but here's a little example of the Bayard's rapid firepower. We light a fire on the Bismarck. That is our 10th fire of this game, by the way. The fire chance on this thing is absolutely fantastic, and the Bismarck is burning merrily as we tuck ourselves behind this island, which should hopefully keep us safe from any return fire from the German battleship. And there is the enemy Massachusetts moving in toward Bravo, pushing into our final remaining friendly destroyer, and giving our position flat broadside. Our fire takes down the Bismarck. The torpedoes from our destroyer make contact with the Massachusetts. We secure the Charlie cap very late into the game with only about a minute to go, and then we pump some armor piercing into the Massachusetts broadside while trying to dodge the incoming fire from his secondaries. As you can see, the AP gets chunky hits against battleship broadsides, and we're also able to take down the Massachusetts, leaving only the Akizuki as the final enemy ship left alive. We no longer have any reload boosters, but the reload speed of the Bayard's guns is, I think, 6.7 seconds, maybe 6 seconds even, when you build for the reload with the main battery reload mod, and that is more than enough DPM to take down the likes of a slow, clumsy destroyer like the Akizuki. We should be able to finish him before this game is over. Less than 20 seconds left, but he doesn't have very good acceleration or maneuverability. He's a slow destroyer. We take him down, And we finish with 133,000 damage done, which may not be the most impressive damage total, but we do over 3,000 base XP, and we earn a lot of credits in the process. If you really enjoy the high DPM sort of agile, zippy cruisers, that is what the Bayard is. I think it's a lot of fun, but it might actually be a little too powerful. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.